Welcome to the Women on the Rise podcast. I'm Jen Blandos, the founder of Female Fusion, and this is where we look at everything entrepreneurship for female entrepreneurs. Whether you are just getting started or you have a 7 or 8 figure business, we cover the topics that matter most to you as you are building, growing, and scaling your business. Welcome to another episode of the Women on the Rise podcast. And today's guest, I have wanted to introduce you to for a very long time. I'm bringing to you Jackie Tamblyn, who is a high-ticket coach. But the reason why I wanted to introduce Jackie to you today, we're in the same mastermind together, and never have I met a woman who has the confidence, the drive, and the most successful coaching business. And I wanted to share all of her knowledge and insight with you today. Welcome to the podcast, Jackie.
Thank you so much for having me, Jen.
I'm just so delighted to have you. And as I said to you, the first time I met you, I was like, wow, the confidence that this woman has, the coaching business that she has built is out of this world. Maybe you could tell everybody a bit about the coaching business that you built.
Yes. So I always say good times bring confidence and tough times bring wisdom. So really much my confidence is about like a lot of wisdom I gained from my past. So I've built like multi-7-figure coaching business online in the last 3.5 years while being a single mom, emigrating to the UAE. And like really living my true self-expression. I'm in the field of like money healing, money manifestation, and high ticket selling. And I'm a social psychologist from my academic backgrounds, and I was a former head of HR. So I've done the corporate life, and I have to say this is so much better.
Absolutely. I mean, working online, you and I were talking before we started filming as well, that working online can be so much fun because you kind of live your life to your own terms.
It is.
And you can kind of get used to working at home and enjoying those comforts for quite a while as well.
Yeah, but it was never actually like a thing I saw for myself due to me coming from a working class family. I'm used to a very hard work, or this is what I thought like my only way of making money or being successful would be in corporate life, like having a high achiever position in corporate life. So being an entrepreneur for me is like the best ride of my life. But a couple of years ago, I would have never, it wasn't in my mind to become an entrepreneur at all.
I mean, being an entrepreneur is not easy. It is amazing, the freedom that it gives us and the ability to make money, but it's not easy.
I always say it's simple, but it's not easy. I was teaching my son how to ride a bike yesterday, and it's like I just saw so many similarities to having a business, because all of us know how to ride a bike, and you get on the bike and you think, yeah, I know what to do. And then you sit on it and it's like, okay, this is not working out how easy I thought it would be.
Yeah.
So you just have to have the consistency to learn. And it's just a constant evolution of being better, becoming a better person, becoming a better entrepreneur, and just developing your skills of entrepreneurship.
But it is like that consistency and that, willing to constantly learn, isn't it?
It is. It's like the most important skill. It's like you didn't become an entrepreneur to be ready at some point.
Yeah.
You have to, you're a constant miracle in the making. You always have to find like solutions for problems. And I think there is never a point in being an entrepreneur where you say, oh, I'm finished, I'm done,
No.
Everything is set up, and you need to be comfortable with it and growing into that identity that this is what being an entrepreneur is all about, like finding solutions and being on this. I always say entrepreneurship is like a roller coaster, like getting comfortable and being on the roller coaster.
But it is, I mean, I don't know if you find this, that, you have like an amazing day and you're way up here and you're like, woohoo, I love this. And then 3 hours later, something could happen and that roller coaster is like, oh, this is so hard.
It's just the duality of having to navigate and hold a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that's like, if you're like very much based on the outside, I think one of the like most important skills you have to learn is like be confident and wise and strong on the inside, and train yourself that the outside world doesn't affect your emotions as much, right?
Oh, that is so hard though, isn't it?
It is, but you will never never like get to learn it if the outside doesn't reflect it to you. I think this is like what universe brings to you, so you can learn and grow into that, 6, 7, 8 figure entrepreneur.
That is so wise. And I think I hear this from female entrepreneurs that they struggle with that they struggle with the showing the world that they're confident or not being affected by that negative feedback or the mean comment that somebody wrote on social media, that it's hard to show that.
It is. But I think like if you don't have the chance to train that, you will never get to that point of confidence and wisdom. Like you need to have these situations to grow out of them and also reflect yourself. Like what is being put on me as a projection of people's wounds and people's hurtings and people's feeling. I experience that a lot because I'm talking about money all day, right? And success and all of that. And on the other hand, it's just like having also like a healthy distance to yourself as a personal brand or as a business owner, like, having like a massive self-expression through your brand and through your business, but also in times like where it gets rough, like also having the ability to shift gears and have the distance. Like my brand is not me, if
Correct.
You see a social media advertisement, that's like an inch of what you know about me or my story. It's only what I put out there to share what you see. So people project a lot, and I think like getting used to that projections and everything, that could be your biggest breakthrough, and it could teach you so much.
And this is something that I wish for all female entrepreneurs, that they would be more open to that, because once you become comfortable with that, it becomes so much easier, doesn't it?
It becomes so easy because you're not like, if you're always afraid, you will always have to bend. You will always have to look out for somebody, right? But if you have like this capability of turning pain to power, have a good sense of self-reflection, of consciousness, of how the social game works, like not everything somebody else says about you is the truth. Like you can stand up and you can be in love and you can be kind-hearted and just let people be and just do the stuff you really want to do and put your heart out. And that's also one thing I see with coaching and entrepreneurs a lot, is like as soon as people don't buy their offers, or like, they don't get the rewards they wanted as quick, they start to get frustrated and close their heart and depend on the outside to deliver them what they want as a proof for them to be worthy. And I said, that's not how the game works, right?
But you can tell that as well, that when you see that on social media, you can tell those people who are going through that journey. And I find that really interesting, because they might be feeling frustrated, but that is showing to the world a kind of a bit of a negative outlook, in a way, that you can just tell that they're not as open and as abundant as what they should be.
Yeah, I think it's also about learning how to handle and navigate frustrations. Like through my life, the biggest like successes and milestones I have reached through frustration. I was frustrated about certain kind of things. I was frustrated about like, not having the money to pay my bills, or about the lifestyle I grew up or I wanted, or other people having what I wanted. I was frustrated about it. And I think that's, we should also talk about like frustration can lead to your biggest like successes and milestones, and it's nothing bad to be frustrated. Sometimes it's just like the way you channel it for your life. Are you going to be frustrated and blame your surroundings and blame everybody else? Or are you going to be frustrated, and are you able to figure out where this frustration exactly comes from and turn it into your biggest mission, your biggest power, your biggest drive, like on a continuous basis? I mean, Richard Branson, he built like 400 companies out of frustration and out of the fact that he saw something and thought, oh, I could do this better. And then he just did it,
But if it's going to be easy, it's not going to work, right? Like it's a lot of times, I think sometimes people expect that it's going to be really easy all the time. I mean, sometimes it is when you get good at something, a lot of times it becomes easier. But in the beginning, it's not easy. And we have bad things happen to us. And that's what makes us the people that we are today.
Yeah, I think some people, or most people, mix up simplicity and easiness.
Yeah.
Like, it's simple to become a millionaire. It's simple to build a business. I mean, Google it, you will find the steps, just do the steps. But then reality kicks in, and then you need to prove that it's not that easy to sell, to put yourself on social media, to sell your offers. You might have some worthiness issues, finding the right pricing. It's like, find the right pricing, check. But if it's your turn to find the right pricing and put it out there, how are you going to communicate your worth? How are you going to talk about it? What is if you have a discussion about it? Like, will you back down, or will you stand your ground and just, be in go out there and present it in a confident way, like, because you did the inner work that led to the person.
Yes.
Because I think that's the most important part. And being an entrepreneur, no matter how many figures you make, it's just developing yourself and transforming into that person that has the skills, who can just handle everything.
Correct. And I mean, the field that you're in is very competitive in a way. Like, everywhere that you look, there's like a different coach for a different sort of thing. But very few coaches make it to the level that you do. And I hear this a number of times from coaches, that they just feel frustrated that they're not making the money that they would like to make. And maybe some of them give up because they feel it's not for them. What sets apart somebody like yourself, who's a high ticket coach, versus somebody who is a coach?
Yeah. So I have to say I specialized, and I started in the field of high ticket coaching because I specialized in one-to-one coachings and very high level containers. But I have coachings in every price range. So I think that's just an important fact. But I think the thing that many coaches are missing out on is building a personal brand. It's just like teaching what you heard in another course will not make you a good coach or a good teacher or a good mentor. Like, you need to have, what's your secret sauce? What's your experience? Like, people want to learn from people who embody what they say, right? Who have inspiring stories. Like, did you ever think about your hero story, about how embodied am I? People don't want to be taught by somebody telling them theoretically what to do, because we all know that we can read a book, right?
Yeah.
But having this kind of embodied knowledge in alignment of what you teach, and having the experience in helping others, transforming their lives, having great client results, and focusing on these client results first, because that's what I did too, and building a strong personal brand is really what makes you stand out.
And for our coaches who are listening, because I'm sure as well, so many of the coaches are like, so how do I do that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not so easy. So that took you from the time that you started out, that you decided to leave the HR world and set up your business. How long did it take you to hit 7 figures?
Well, I left the HR world, became pregnant, and while I was after I gave birth, I thought I could never go back again ever, because I cannot handle the lifestyle, right? And I saw how growing up with parents who worked very hard was, and I wanted to be there for my son. So from the time I built my company to the time I had 7 figures in revenue, it was 17 months. 17 months. 17 months.
What would you say worked for you? What can you put your finger on that helped you get to the 17-month, 7-figure number so quickly?
Well, first of all, I started during COVID. So, right, I started during COVID, and I actually wanted to launch my company in May 2020, but I decided to do it in March 2020. So when everybody was insecure about how is it going to work, what is it going to come, and what do we need to do, I said, you know what, now is the time to get this moving. And then I started, right? So that is the first hack, is not waiting for the right time, but seeing the chance in every crisis, and seeing which gold also for yourself lies in there, because I knew people would need to go online. The world is connected over Zoom. So even though kindergarten was closed, and my ex-husband was still working, I was it's now or never. So I'm going to set this up now. And and I focused very much not on gaining reach. I think that is also a mistake so many coaches do. They just want to have Instagram followers and, big reach and set up ads. And I'm like, you're not even there yet. Prove yourself in a small amount of people that you can hold and transform and help. And that will have a ripple effect. And that was really the thing I focused on. So I had single clients where I focused on high ticket coachings, but helping them transform to the max, like putting my heart and soul into their transformation and helping them in whatever struggle they had. And this client results, of course, gave me a very good repetition. So they just told their friends, hey, I got somebody who really helped me. And then the social media game got like bigger. And of course, I also had the money to pay for because I started from zero. I didn't have any money in my bank account to set up like 10 or 20K for a team and office and whatever. So I literally built a 7-figure business from my kitchen table while my son was sleeping. That was my reality.
Wow.
Yeah.
And did you, at what point did you bring in extra resources?
I actually, because I was a head of human resources, so I knew, okay, I cannot do this on my own. And the first assistant I got in like right at the beginning. Even like I paid her 50 euros from my private bank account because I didn't even have a company bank account. But I knew like these are the things we have to do, and I cannot do it on my own because I'm a mom and we have all of this going on. So I just was very good in outsourcing the things I didn't want to spend time with right from the beginning.
I mean, you could have done it yourself, but it would have taken you so much longer to get there, right?
Yeah, and some things like, doing all this graphic stuff and whatever.
It's not your son of genius, right? It's not mine.
I like to do it, but it was like, okay, I got 3 hours to work every day.
Yeah.
What will I do? And I focused on the things that made money, and that was building a brand, my clients, and selling, putting content out there. That were the things nobody else could do for me.
Yeah.
So I just looked at the task, what do I have to do, and which is like non-negotiable to anybody else, and what is like the things somebody else can do for me, and probably which be much faster than I would be in.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But do you know what I find funny is that when people set up businesses, a lot of times they're not willing to make that investment, and they end up doing everything themselves. And they'll say to me, oh, well, I don't have the money to do that. But then, you see that they've got the latest designer handbag, or they're going on luxurious holidays. And to me, that doesn't add up. It's like, do you want a business, and do you want to grow your business, or do you want a holiday?
Yeah. That's like one of the things I see like a lot, and I'm very thankful that I always invested in the right things, because I knew every euro I will invest in my business will make me more and more money, like more than ever like a designer handbag could ever return. And I really did a lot of sacrifice. Like up till like 4 or 5 million euros of revenue, I lived in 80 square meters. Not because I couldn't have afford to like move somewhere else because I emigrated to the UAE, but I just thought like this, of course, there in Germany, it's also like a thing of finding the right place. Like there is not a lot of houses, but I didn't want to like put my head to it. I was building something. I didn't even want the stress of moving, finding something. I was like so focused, and I knew, okay, let me just go out and buy whatever I want cash in a couple of months or years, and not like having this, I think it's like always short-term gratification over long-term profit, right? That's what it's really about. And I was always like very focused on the long-term profit that my business will make.
But a lot of business owners, like within Female Fusion, we have a 7-figure circle, and so our 7-figure businesses get together, and it's so nice to have those conversations. And a lot of things that they say are, that got them to 7 figures, they reinvested in the business. Yeah. Like took that money, didn't go out and buy themselves a Tesla. They went out and reinvested in the business, whether it was team or office or more supplies or whatever it was. Yeah. And then the other thing that they say is super important is personal development and also having a coach. Every single one of them are like, I had a coach.
Yeah. I think your business can only grow to the extent you grow.
Yeah.
And I think there are so many like blocks that come with making more money, having more responsibility. Yeah, especially for women, especially in the way like everybody was brought up individually. Like I always thought with a lot of money comes a lot of responsibility. So on your subconscious, at one point you will sabotage your success because you don't want to grow further. You don't want to have all of this responsibility. You don't want to be the person like perhaps setting up processes, rules, because you think, oh, that's just not my identity. I'm more like the creative type of person. Yeah, I that's just not my type. So you start like playing small, and because you don't think you're the type of person. So growing yourself will always make your business grow massively.
Do you know, just when you were saying that, one money block that I see all the time with small businesses is overtax and VAT, because there's a threshold in different countries about when you need to register for VAT. And a lot of them are like, well, I don't want to register for VAT, so I want to make sure that I only make enough so I don't have to register for VAT.
I understand because I had these struggles. Like I grew up like unblocking money blocks is like one of the things I do the most, because I grew up with the like massive money fears and fears of existence, because that's part of my history. So working on my money blocks and my money mindset was like the major thing I would like recommend to anyone in any business, because it like makes you grow rapidly. And I always had this, my father always said, no news are good news. So there was a time in my business when he was going to the letterbox. So I always, when I got letters for my business, I always had this thought in my mind, oh, no news are good news, no news are... So when there was a letter, I was somehow afraid from...
Really?
Because I thought about like, what did it cause in my family and the stress and, you know, the payments and stuff like that. So it really blocked me to even open letters, because I was afraid there was something I couldn't handle. And now here I stand or sit in front of you, like, paying massive tax bills. I think last year I had like a 2.5 million euro tax bill. Like, you know, that's like, you know, being the person or growing into the person, coming from constant fears of existence and a lot of money blocks, like to become the person that can handle a 2.5 million euro tax bill is like really a big part of personal development.
But that's amazing. Like on the other hand, you switch that around and go, can you imagine the business that you've built to have a 2.5 million euro tax bill, right?
Exactly.
And that's something that you should be so proud of.
Exactly. And that's what I tell myself, like, you know, what is it used for? Like the impact, it's not only about the income you make with your business, but also about
contributing and giving back.
The impact you have.
Yeah,
the impact you have as an entrepreneur nowadays, and also as a coach nowadays, is like massive. So are you willing to take the two sides of the coin and not only go out and say, oh, I want to have an impact? Like this is one way of like having impact, right? And then also, of course, growing into the person that's a CEO and that, you know, does an optimization on their business or reinvest. It helped me to reinvest a lot in my business, because I know, okay, you know, everything I will put in there will make it grow. So I invested really a lot in my business, and it also helped me. Like,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
One thing I'd love you to talk about, because I see that this is a problem with a lot of coaches, is that they don't treat their coaching business as a business, that it's very much them. They're maybe doing some coaching over Zoom or in person, but they're not actually thinking about what that means for the business. How do you run your business? What sort of advice could you give to coaches so they could be thinking more about running a business?
Well, I think the first thing you need to think about is like having clarity on what you want. Do you want this small side hustle coaching business? Or do you want to be an entrepreneur and a coach and a teacher and having impact as a personal brand?
And there's nothing wrong with either, right?
Both are fine. But, you know, don't try to be an entrepreneur if you really just want to make 10K out of your coaching business a month, because the ways you need to like build up the business is so different, right? And both is fine. Nothing is right or wrong. It's just different.
Yeah.
So, I think that's the most important part, to get clarity on that. And if you want to have the side hustle coaching business, that's fine. Then stick with one-on-one coaching, perhaps like develop like the high ticketing selling skills and really focus on your one-to-one clients. But if you want to have this massive business that makes impact, and you're still making impact when you do it as a side hustle, because you're affecting people's lives. Like, I think there is like, this job is like so valuable, right? You're affecting people's life. You're working on better relationships, like healthy children or health for women or whatever. So there's this massive, just because you don't make a lot of revenue in your coaching business doesn't mean you don't have impact. But if you want to have this multiple 7-figure business or whatever, and have an impact over like perhaps social media and like influencing a lot of people, you just need a different kind of setup, right? You need to have a personal brand. You need to have a team. You should think about the way you market yourself. You really have to deal with all of the ways of marketing on social media, marketing on emails, having a podcast. Like, there are so many things you need to take care of, and also building a team.
Well, and I guess having a strategy behind all of it.
Right, having a strategy, but I always say I want like a soul-based strategy. So one thing.
I hear this from so many coaches, but it works for your sort of business because it is you, and it's having that soul behind it, isn't it?
It is, because like having this business is my biggest self-expression. So coming from the corporate life, having like, you know, studied in university, I know how to build businesses the regular way. And I didn't want to come to the point where I burn myself. I had 2 burnouts under 30, so I know what hustle is about, right? Yeah. So I didn't want this experience in my life again. So it was for me, if I want to have it all, how can I make it the easiest way possible, still make the impact and the revenue I want to have? But, you know, when things get rough, I think it's also a sort of commitment to stick to it. Like, I want it in the most easy and juicy way possible, but if it's not there and if it's not going to come that way, I will also be like, you know, on it to get what I want. And I think that's like, you know, where many coaches lack the focus or the commitment to stick to the things, right?
And I think what you said is so important, is the whole piece about consistency and to be able to stick to it, but also as well, if it's not working, to find a way that you can make it work, rather than sitting there and going, oh, I'm not getting any clients, oh, nobody's buying from me.
And this is where every coach can show if they embody what they teach. Right. Like, sometimes I feel like, okay, but you're a coach for success, handle it. You're a coach for, you know, like attracting clients, handle it. Like, how can you, like, and that's one of the things, like, you should really only teach what you totally embody. And of course, everybody can have a bad day or have doubts or whatever, but how fast?
We're humans.
Yeah, we're humans, but how fast can you get out of there? Or are you going to stick in the downward spiral and stay there and stay there and stay there until somebody gets you out? Like, being self-led is like the most important part in being a leader. Yeah, right?
Totally. And one thing I love about being an entrepreneur, you can always make money.
You can always make
money. Yeah. And, you know, there's like, if you need money for something, or if you have a bad month, there is always a way that you can generate money.
And that's like one of the mightiest things, I think, like being a mighty money creator and knowing, like deeply knowing that you have the ability to make money whenever, in a blink of an eye, like, gives you so much relief and like so much calmness in your business. But on the other hand, you will need to go out there and experience that, because otherwise you will not believe it, or you will lose trust in yourself.
Yeah. And I would love to hear your top tips for, I mean, not only for coaches, but entrepreneurs in general, because you're very good at this, on how they can build their personal brand. A lot of entrepreneurs feel uncomfortable with this, where they're like, oh, but, you know, I just want like the company to be out there. I don't want me. And the thing is, when we own our business, it's us and the business.
Right. Yeah, I think like one of the most important things is like being clear what you stand for and sticking to that no matter what. It's like, don't be afraid to like polarize, or don't be afraid to have different opinions, because I think many people get in this right or wrong discussion. Is she doing it right? Is this the right value? Is this the right marketing? And I'm like, nothing I do is actually right.
Yes.
And nothing you do is actually the truth. So can we
Yeah.
just agree that nothing is the ultimative truth, and we're just living our points of views, and my brand stands for this, for richness, for realness, for like a certain kind of all-in attitude, for also being able to have fun at work. I'm half British, so the British humor is just inside me. And when I was beginning it, I was like, can I even be funny on my courses, or is this something like a no-go? And I just thought, like, unlayering everything that society or your environment puts on you, and really finding your true core of who you are and how you want to be as a person, like, makes the best, checkbox for your personal brand as well. Like, the more natural your personal brand gets, the more embodied and in alignment people will see you, like, being authentic and an integrity of what you say and what you teach. And then not like be afraid of over exaggerating it a bit sometimes. And putting these things out and always stressing them in your community and your community framing, to build also this hype or this community where people say, oh, she's a match, she's the one I'm looking for, or I don't like her, she's just too much for me, right? So don't be afraid of that.
And I wish that more people would do that, because a lot of times you see a lot of cookie cutter content that it's all the same. Or you see people as well who will say controversial things because they think controversy is going to get them more likes or more views. And it's like, but if you don't believe that, why would you say that?
Like, being a personal brand is all about being your true self. And like sticking to it, but not in an ignorant kind of way, but in a way like, this is what I'm here and this is what I stand for. And I always say, don't be Buddha, be yourself in your business. I mean, nobody wants to hear any Buddha quotes or Gandhi quotes anymore. Like, do you, and think about things, like also go deep in the way in your history and in what made you become the person you are, and show yourself in truth. And I know it's not always easy. I just had a whole masterclass with over 1,000 people joining, where I said it's not easy always to show what I think about money, because I know there will be people, which will not agree. And I don't know 1,500 people right here in this room. And some things I might say will trigger you or activate you. But I just want to say it's just my truth, and there's nothing right or wrong. And perhaps you can open your mind to listen to me, right? And I think that's also one thing. If you have a true self-expression, you need to believe that people will understand you in the right way. And if they don't, that's also fine, right? Be okay with it.
Well, there's a coach, or there's somebody for everyone, right? And that's why, like, we're so many billion people on this planet, that I feel that there's no competition, because the people who are meant to be in your community or be part of your coaching program or buy from your business are going to find you, because they're going to align with you and your values and who you are.
And it's really the only way of being successful, because let's be honest, like, for me, coaches and entrepreneurs will change the world. We're the one bringing we're the one bringing consciousness. We're the one helping people. So I think everyone has such a big impact. But on the other hand, there are many coaches out there, and if everybody just puts out the same content and is not willing to be a trailblazer or a pioneer, how should people see you also as perhaps a role model if you always bend like down and are afraid to speak your truth? Like, handling also these, or navigating these kinds of things, and duality of building a personal brand is one of the main reasons people book me. Right?
Well, I mean, like, as I said in my introduction as well, that just the moment that I met you, the confidence and the ownership that you had on your business, I was like, this is so special, that I wanted to bring that to Female Fusion. And you've done an exceptional job of owning that.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Now, I have a last question for you, and that is, your coaching program and everything you do is in German right now.
Right.
But you're half British, half German.
Right.
So Are we going to see anything from you in English, do you think?
Yes. So since I moved to Dubai, I have lots of people asking me actually, when is your first English program coming out? So I'm just working on an international funnel to bring like one or two programs out. Also
Amazing.
to the English speaking market, because I think that will be such an honor to get to influence even more people and help more entrepreneurs building a successful business.
And I think as well, when even people get to meet you through this or meet you through some of the female fusion stuff, I think you're going to have a queue of women wanting to line up to work with you there as well.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for your network and the amazing, outstanding job and heart you put to it.
Oh, thank you, Jackie. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with everybody today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the podcast. If you want to be on top of the numbers in your business, why not download Female Fusion's SME dashboard? It is the exact dashboard that we use in Female Fusion to track all of our numbers, the financial numbers, the marketing numbers, customer service numbers. It really helps us stay on top of everything in the business. As I say, you can't grow what you don't know. So if you'd like to grab it, we've included a link in the show notes, or you can go to femalefusionnetwork.com/SME-dashboard. Now that might be a bit complicated, so just hop on over